Wow, everything Kubernetes, infrastructure is code, OpenTelemetry. It's been a KubeCon kind of week. You're watching Techstrong Gang. All right, we're back here, last day of Paris KubeCon. This is a special edition Techstrong Gang with a very special guest. Let me introduce you to Savannah Peterson.
Hey fam, nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Savannah, thank you, man.
I feel very lucky to be starting the day.
First of all, it's good to have I'm tired of doing it with just me, Mike, and Mitchell. So
the gang
it's actually
is the
good.
Wrong gang.
Yeah, we got a real gang this time. So it's Friday in Paris. It's Friday morning, a weekend in Paris. I don't know about you, but I'm staying.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking forward.
On the front end. It's great.
Yeah.
This is the best excuse to come to Paris ever.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
I wish, maybe they should do it here every year.
I'd be okay.
Same.
Speaking about that, I'm hearing London in Europe next year.
Yeah,
I believe that is. Yeah.
So London's not bad. It's not Paris, but it's not bad.
A lovely city, but it will be less full of cheese and fantastic wine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But it is better than Detroit.
Yes. Or Chicago.
Nothing against
music,
my friends in Detroit and Chicago.
No, yeah.
Yeah, there was some good music there. It's going to be interesting to see Salt Lake, because Salt Lake is not
I'm curious about that one.
thought of as a
That's going to be an interesting
experience. Kind of in my backyard. I'm in Denver, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it's a world away from Denver to Salt Lake. Anyway,
a lot of mountains between here.
Yeah, there's some mountains between there, exactly. So, but let's talk. Let's talk KubeCon, Kubernetes. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is KubeCon, is this kind of Kubernetes everywhere, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing Kubernetes on the edge, Kubernetes on bare metal, which has always been a thing, but now it's like people don't raise their eyebrow at it. They used to but now it's accepted.
Agree.
I'm wondering, what are you hearing, seeing, thinking about it?
It was interesting. We were talking to Priyanka earlier this week, and she, like many, are saying that Kubernetes is having its Linux moment. And I will say, I started working with Kubernetes 4 years ago, and people were still establishing their container strategy. They didn't know what was going to happen next. Yeah. And now I feel like we've all made a decision, or at least a lot of the companies here have, and particularly when we're talking about the AI stack. I think there's a lot of Kubernetes action.
There's going to be a lot going on there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was speaking to Scott Johnston, CEO
of Docker. I chatted with him yesterday as well. Love Scott.
And we spoke about exactly that. So sort of when Docker made the realization that Kubernetes was going to be it, and they pivoted to a very developer-led focus, and what Docker is today, it's not the container, right? Although it is, but it is a Linux kind of moment for Kube.
I think.
What does it mean, though, for people out here, right?
It's interesting. I think to that point is it's not just end users, practitioners adopting Kubernetes. All the providers, everybody's running Kubernetes underneath their whatever,
point.
Right?
Yeah.
It's part of the fabric of the infrastructure. So I hope that knowledge and skill of operating Kubernetes and the complexity of it hopefully transforms to end users, practitioners using it to address the complexity issue. That's
always been the challenge.
Still an issue today.
And it's still
Kubernetes is still hard as hell, man. I'm sorry to say, but
it's the truth.
We're seeing it on the edge in cars.
I was going to say, we've got a couple cars on the show floor. Mercedes is running Kubernetes over there.
And so it may be hard, but it's finding its way through.
Does that mean I need to pull over and add a few more clusters to my Kubernetes on my BMW so I can keep going here on the Autobahn?
Yeah.
How funny would that be?
It's not far off. There's
a little bit of truth.
Yeah, Every time my car is doing, I get the message we're doing an auto update, I start thinking about that. Is it?
What version of Kubernetes just came out?
Containers that they're doing?
What's going on with my K8s in this whip? Couple cylinders, my K8s.
Absolutely.
I'm waiting for the idiot like K8s to come on the deck.
Ding, ding.
I wanted to talk about bare metal, though, because I brought that up, too. Look, I remember almost from the very first KubeCon that I attended in Seattle, there were people running Kube on bare metal, but they were looked at as jerks. quite frankly, right? They were like, what are you doing? Yeah, we're in the cloud, dude.
Stacked off to the side.
These were people running, and I'm not going to mention their name, IBM, but they were running Kube on bare metal in traditional data centers. What was it, SoftLayer that they had bought? Mm-hmm. That was the SoftLayer, a cloud native solution, run Kube on bare metal. But there was an audience for that. There were some people who really, for whatever reason, security, government regulation, did not want to be in a multi-tenant type of environment, and it was just more economical to run it on a bare metal individual physical server.
Right. But cost is a big thing here.
But now, I don't know if it's cost that's driving it or regulation compliance that's driving it, performance.
Good point.
But when you talk, especially you find it when I'm talking to people about hybrid Kubernetes, hybrid cloud Kubernetes deployments. Yes, you do get the multi-cloud folks, but you're getting that private, public cloud kind of, deployments. And a lot of times that private cloud's bare metal. And now some of the bigger cloud guys are offering Kube on bare metal as well.
Mm-hmm. I also think the edge is a prime spot for it to become that way, because the edge, you don't want you want to reduce complexity, right? Simplicity and scalability. So is that a place we're going to see more bare metal, inside the car, at the edge of the network, in the data center at the edge?
I think we will.
All of that. So
I think you're absolutely right.
It makes sense.
It does make sense. And people need that at speed. We need things quick. No latency when it comes to edge. And I think you're absolutely right there.
So let me be the spoil sport here.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right. So a little cold water
Tell
on the
us.
Kubernetes
What's next? What's next? Has Kubernetes peaked? And the problem with peaking, especially when you get my age, you realize that, right? It's inevitably a hill down, right?
I think that it's more of an Intel inside moment, right?
Okay.
Intel used to have their stickers on those laptops, and you knew that was your chip inside your computer. I think we're going to get to that stage. At a certain point, we're not going to talk about it as much. It's just going to be a part of the products and.
But even
solutions.
Intel, and God bless them, we spoke with Arun and some of the Intel folks. They're big supporters here at open source. But, there is AMD today, and God knows there's this little company, NVIDIA and ARM.
Make sure that they're supported.
It's not, I grew up in an Intel monopoly for chips.
Yeah.
Right.
All chips were Intel, or virtually. But
CPUs, for sure,
no pun intended. But, is there... The issue is, though, I don't see anything on the horizon that replaces Kubernetes.
No.
Or even competes with Kubernetes. There's the guys over here running Dapper.
Yeah.
And you can't see it because, unfortunately, I can't turn our cameras this way.
We all just lean left a little bit.
We can lean. But,
over there.
Dapper was something that was out there before.
Yeah.
But you don't really see it much in the market. The guys over at Rancher, which is SUSE, they at one time were looking to kind of do an alternate to Kube.
Well, they do their lightweight, right?
Well, they do lightweight K3 and stuff, but no, they had a Kube alternate and they abandoned that. Right? The original Rancher OS had their own orchestrator. So you can't talk about having a replacement for Kube when you can't even point to one. It's mythical.
Maybe it isn't a replacement. Maybe you talked about the Linux moment.
Yeah.
Maybe it is the Linux of that layer, and it's just going to be there.
That's actually what I think. I think there was a little bit of competition as people were figuring out how to do containers. But now I think there's this is the car we're driving.
It's part of the stack.
Exactly. It's part of the
Interesting
solution.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Kube, as far as the eye can see.
Kube ahoy.
Is that what you see off the deck of your yacht?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I wish I was there now.
Yes. Kube ahoy.
All right, we're live in Paris for Techstrong Gang. We'll be back in a moment. All right, back here at Techstrong Gang, we've got Mitch Ashley, we've got Savannah Peterson. We're talking KubeCon wrap-up. Who came up with the name OpenTofu?
You know, I had the exact same thought when I walked by their booth.
Like, wasn't a branding kind of thing, I'm assuming, no?
People who eat tofu came up with.
Do you think they're all vegetarians?
I think so. It must
Really?
be.
You think that's what it is?
I don't know. Whatever theory.
Yeah, no, it's funny you brought it up. I had the exact same
They
thought.
didn't call it open beefsteak, so you know what is it?
Open lobster.
Open lobsters. You know.
I mean, you know what?
Yeah.
So, hey, note, we should grab the people behind the OpenTofu project,
Yeah.
like the maintainers. Maybe there's
We'd
a
love to
story
talk.
there.
There must be a
Maybe it's
story.
supposed to be like a meat alternative.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know,
Meat
but
substitute. Right?
Maybe there's a sustainability play. Who knows?
I mean, it's not the name I would have picked for it. But in any event, it's here and it's real.
Yes.
And it's kind of revitalized infrastructure as code. Infrastructure as code. I thought that had its moment in the sun, right? When we had Puppet and Chef and Ansible and these kind of things and Terraform.
Exactly.
But I thought those had become woodwork kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like just. But no, OpenTofu has given it a jolt of dare I say excitement, right?
About tofu.
You dare.
Yeah,
you go
I dare.
for it, Alan. We
But-
validate
Oh
you.
dare. Oh dare.
Yeah.
So it's there. What's going to be interesting is at the same time this week we saw a bunch of reports that HashiCorp has been, well, first of all, Mitchell's left as of December, and that they've engaged a banker
Yeah.
to potentially sell the business. Of course, at the last KubeCon, the big news was they had changed their licensing.
Right.
And which kind of gave rise to the whole OpenTofu thing, right? And so, you know, nature abhors a vacuum, and I think there was an opportunity there. And go figure, we filled it with tofu. But
Of all things.
of all things, but that's not the only innovation we've seen here on infrastructure as code. I've seen one company, they call it generative infrastructure as code, like AI.
Right.
You know, making it easier to do. There's another company just, you know, a few booths down from us here.
We're all neighbors now here in
Yeah,
Paris.
I get
we
it.
live here. This is a part of our lifestyle.
it's a community.
Those are just our neighbors.
It's
It's
a
cool.
village, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I'll look back and see their name. Spacelift.
There you
Okay,
go.
Spacelift. Also an infrastructure as code play with a little bit of an AI twist and some
I
other
really
stuff.
found that interesting about their story is basically, well, two things. One is how do you scale infrastructure as code? And think about
Right.
software code and how do you manage that on so many variations, so
Great
many
point.
environments.
Yeah.
Think about the same for the infrastructure as code layer. And the ability to have kind of one place to manage that, policies, security, all of that kind
Right.
of thing. I thought the
That single pane of glass. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the other interesting thing, and I don't know if they're addressing this yet, is where does that fit into the DevOps workflow pipeline, right? Because
That's a great question.
you know, versions of that, window application
Yeah.
dependencies and infrastructure as code dependencies and all of that, it speaks right to the GitOps, right, that we've talked about for a long time. But that doesn't solve it all, just putting it into the repository. So some interesting problems, I think, still to solve, challenges
Yeah.
every day.
Well, I you know, to me, that's infrastructure as code at scale.
At scale.
Yeah.
And that's really, maybe that's the...
I think that's the next moment when you're talking about that little hype blip that happened
Yeah.
before. I think it was a marker of letting us know that this is where the market was going. But I feel like now, to your point, it's vital. It's a part
Absolutely.
of the deal. Yeah.
I get it. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, not just from one KubeCon to the next, but in the market.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see how it goes. And again, I think if it's successful, it'll fade back into the woodwork,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, become part of the fabric. of
Yeah,
what
it
we
won't
do.
be such a topic. It'll just be how things are done.
I think we'll
Yeah.
also have to see, I think this so let me just say up front, right? I was a big fan of Mitchell, right? Mitchell Hashimoto, I don't know how much you know or how well you know Mitchell.
Not as well as you do, I would suspect.
So Mitchell
Yeah.
Hashimoto started HashiCorp, I think he was 18 years old. I mean, he was a
impressive.
kid.
Yeah.
And they basically built $2 or $3 billion product lines,
Oh yeah.
right? Terraform being
Yep.
one,
Gauntlet, Vault,
Vault,
a whole bunch of
and
stuff.
there was the first one, not Viper.
No, it's the environment. I know what you're talking about.
It's a security related one. It's whatever. He built at least $3 billion product lines there.
It's amazing.
Fantastic. Now he's out, and Mitch, Mitchell and I have been in venture-backed startups probably as long as you've been alive. I'm afraid to say, 30 years.
That rock has rolled down a few hills.
Yeah.
As they say. When the founder leaves, it's a very precarious time. Who's going to be the...
You need different talent.
It's a cultural moment. It's a product moment.
Yeah, it is.
And a business moment.
And a
absolutely.
Moment, right?
Exactly.
And at the same time, it's a public entity.
Yeah.
Public company. So I think that's going to be a great story to watch too, because Terraform, look, OpenTofu's great. They forked Terraform.
Right.
I'm reminded, Mitchell and I were in the security game back in 2004, I think it was, 2003. Ron Guler and Renaud Dreisen over at Tenable closed source Nessus, well, from 2.7 on, right? And said, hey, it's still free, but it's no longer open source. And everyone said, oh, that's the death knell. What a stupid move by them. It's going to be the end of Nessus. Well, I'm friends with Ron. He's done pretty well for himself.
He's done all right for himself.
Yeah. Not too shabby.
No, and so they were wrong, right? It turned out that not being open source wasn't important. It may very well be the case with Terraform, that this is
It's a great point.
a fireworks moment for the Tofu
Red Hat
Gang.
Linux hasn't gone away, and they've changed their models. So,
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think that'll be interesting to see too. Is Terraform remain dominant, or does OpenTofu continue that momentum into this whole infrastructure as code?
Hopefully we can talk about it in Salt Lake. We'll see.
We're going to need something to talk about in
Yeah.
Salt Lake.
I'm sure we'll find something.
Because there's not going to be nice restaurants with wine like there is here.
I know.
Anyway, maybe we should just keep KubeCon in Paris every year.
I'm all for that.
I 100% agree with
the next
this.
3 to 5
That would be
CNCF,
that would
if
be
you're
a goal.
listening,
Do it.
we are here for it.
Buy
Also,
your
is this
plane
the most
tickets
times
now.
you've said tofu in a broadcast before?
Absolutely.
Yes.
We should well, we can't because it's morning here. But I was going to say we should be doing shots
Why
every time we
can't
say
we?
tofu.
Hey,
drink
at
up.
home,
Woo,
it's,
it'd be lit for
bars
all
are
that.
closing at home, so we can still do it.
Yeah, it's late at home.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong about that.
All right. Hey, we're gonna take our tofu. We'll be back in a second on Techstrong Gang. Hey, we're back here, Paris, Techstrong Gang, talking tofu. Infrastructure is
Wine and
code.
cheese.
Exactly the food that people would talk about in Paris is tofu.
You don't come to Paris for the tofu. But, no, seriously, our next block, our next topic for Gang today is, what is our next topic for Gang today? It's the OpenTelemetry project.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, OpenTelemetry is the second largest of the 180 projects in CNCF.
Yeah.
Wow. So, and if you're counting
Lots
at
of
home,
contributors.
it's Kubernetes, OpenTelemetry. You know who number 3 is?
I don't.
Argo.
Oh, Argo, that makes sense.
Oh, that makes sense.
Argo.
We should have known that.
I know.
Coming up with a
I was holding
bullet.
that in my back
Yeah.
pocket. in case,
Okay.
we
We just
needed
wanted
an
Alan to
answer.
look good.
Phone
You
friend.
wanted it to be OpenTofu. I know.
did,
Drink
yes.
up.
Yeah, next
All right.
insult. That'll be changed by then.
But OpenTelemetry is huge. It has an
It is
army, literally an army of contributors.
Truly.
And not only that, it has that along with Prometheus, which is probably in the top 5
Yeah, I was
as
gonna
well,
say.
have become the de facto foundation of an entire ecosystem.
Yes.
There are very few observability vendors today who aren't on that OpenTelemetry.
Very few.
Yeah.
The ones
And-
that are probably stuck in monitoring, right? or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, who still call
performance.
right. They
Something
don't
slow
call
and boring.
themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, that is the ultimate open source model, right?
is.
For a foundation.
Totally.
We are going to lay the foundation. We're going to lift all the boats, and then people compete from there. You know, we're giving you this base. go forth and multiply, right? Go do your thing from there. And we're seeing a ton of innovation, but all built on that base.
Well, to the model, and it's sort of the ideal open source project because the contributors all recognize that's not our value. What we do on top of that is.
Yeah.
And they kind of did that again in a smaller way because a bunch of different vendors were doing this profiling capability, right?
Great point.
How do you tune? How do you know what your performance characteristics are going to be of your app, of your stack? And they said, why are we out, 9 or 10 of us doing this? Let's set that back into OTel and then add our analytics on top of it. So they're continuing that model, recognizing there's more opportunities to say, we're not going to differentiate there. We're going to differentiate what we do with that data.
Yeah. No, I think, and it's having a moment. We were talking a lot about it in Amsterdam a year ago.
Yes.
Very hot topic, but I feel, to your point, I mean, we're at an adoption peak with some of these things where it is becoming ubiquitous, just like Kubernetes to a degree.
Well, and I think it almost is the end. So, again,
I agree.
Having done KubeCons for a long time now, almost 9 years, I bet. Not counting COVID. But, it used to be these events were very dev-centric.
And very Kubernetes only centric, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Amsterdam last year was the first time where I really looked around and said, you know what? It's about ops. And it was OpenTelemetry and observability that I think was really kind of leading that charge. I think OpenTelemetry is the engine or the locomotive pulling the train.
Ooh, I like this analogy.
You like that one,
I like
huh?
that, yeah.
Painting the picture.
No, this
there
is
we
good.
go.
The locomotive pulling the train of ops and observability within this whole ecosystem. Right? Because without it, you don't have that. You'd still just be doing dev.
You have one of the leaders, Splunk, whose acquisition just got closed.
Right.
Cisco.
With Cisco.
Big little
already successful in observability, now a big acquisition. So, they haven't gone wrong by going OTel. It's been a smart move.
There are... So Splunk is obviously a heavyweight, but Grafana is down the block here.
Was going to bring up Grafana,
they're all, there's some
players.
There are players in here. New Relic is using it now.
Absolutely.
And they're from, New Relic is from the old guard, the APM days, right?
Yeah.
The community around OpenTelemetry is really impressive too. Those contributors, everyone's so excited. There's going to be maintainers there, so I feel like there's a lot of trust in that project as well.
There absolutely is. There's... what was the company ServiceNow bought? Lightstep. Lightstep.
Yeah.
They're all in because they were kind of the, the initiators.
The new
replicator
of some distributed tracing capabilities.
And they put tracing in. It's interesting stuff. It bodes well. I said in half just before about the 180 projects in CNCF, and they're not done. Right, we interviewed Arun Gupta.
I know
and Arun, and he's the chairman, of course, of CNCF. You can catch that out. You can catch that interview. But he said, their philosophy is let as many flowers bloom. And I'm running nose here, but
are your allergies responding?
I don't know what it. Yeah,
is that
let a million flowers bloom.
It is springtime in Paris.
Yeah, exactly. So, but. Is it CNCF 250? Is it CNCF 500? Is it CNCF 1,000?
I don't know.
Right?
I've been wondering about this too. Yeah.
Is there a limit where it's too many projects? And so you'll have OpenTelemetry, which is going to suck a lot of oxygen.
A monolith to a degree, yeah.
Versus, I don't want to say tofu again.
Yeah.
Versus another one, another project that maybe doesn't get enough oxygen. That's something to think about too.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. It's a successful model.
Yes, it is.
Can it succeed at the next level of scale? Kind of the same question about Kubernetes and everything else.
Or is it meant to be this size? Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
Well, but to your point on that, Savannah, look at like CDF.
Yeah.
Right? The CDF, and we do a video series for them every month called CD Pipelines.
Nice. Fun.
And, we do our best to support the CDF.
Yeah.
But they're having, quite frankly, they have a hard time. Yeah. They have a hard time getting out from the shadow of CNCF. It happened even with OpenSSF.
I believe that. Yeah. So, we had that conversation yesterday.
So does the success of CNCF itself deprive the other sister foundations of oxygen, right? And so that's why they keep putting more projects into CNCF than these other foundations, which only kind of, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, but also puts more strain on CNCF.
I wonder if, and maybe this is happening and I'm not aware of it, but one of the things OTel also did really well was projects joining together, right?
Yeah.
Distributed tracing, et cetera, were different projects. And that combining things, I think is part of that strength that they've had. So maybe that's the model. It isn't just you want to become the next OTel of CNCF. You've got to bring people with you in other projects, and there's
combine
some
forces.
things to combine.
I think that's actually a great point. Yeah, because you're looking at people independently choosing to contribute to these projects. Open source is a pretty wild thing when you think about the community in general. Mm-hmm. So to your point, stronger together, as long as it's all complementary.
Yeah.
Let's
collaborate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see.
All right.
Well, we're stronger together, at least. Thank you all for having
me. Absolutely.
Always.
Let's wrap up here. It's been, all kidding aside, it has been an amazing KubeCon.
It really has.
Paris has been an amazing
I would
host
say
city.
Insane KubeCon.
It's been insane.
It's been crazy.
The energy in here has
the buzz
just been
is back.
awesome.
I haven't felt this since San Diego.
Yeah,
which was
that's what
right
everyone
before
keeps
COVID.
saying. Yeah. No, we're back.
Yeah, we're definitely back. Paris has been an amazing host
Thank you,
of
Paris.
KubeCon.
Yeah, thank you.
Your help doing that.
Could you imagine what it's going to be like for the Olympics here in 3 months?
No, I don't want to. The cab. I tell you, the cab drivers.
Are we going to find a sponsor and do some coverage of the Olympics?
I was just going to say, if you could get me a sponsor, I'll wear your T-shirt, whatever you need.
That's all I can tell you. They're like,
I bet
my God, I don't want to. What's it going to be like?
I mean, it is going to be madness.
Yeah.
It is going to be absolute.
It's going to be fun.
Absolute delicious madness.
Paris in July for the Olympics.
Hashtag dreams.
Those grapes are ripening on the vine. Anyway, hey, we hope you've enjoyed our special Techstrong Gangs while we're here. Stay tuned. Well, by the time you're watching this, KubeCon will be over, but we've been streaming live all week as well. All of those live streamed videos are available up on techstrong.tv. Check them out. And thanks for joining in. Au revoir from Paris.
Everybody.
Savannah, thank you.
Hey, thank you both.
We're out of here.
Cloud Native Now is the web's leading resource for the growing cloud native ecosystem. CloudNativeNow.com is your destination for news, thought leadership, features, and webinars on cloud native architecture, Kubernetes, serverless, cloud native application development, microservices, service mesh, cloud native security, and more. Stay on the cutting edge of modern application development at Cloud Native Now.